Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In today's episode, we are going to be covering Jellicent, because last week I asked you guys which Pokémon you wanted to see from Gen 5, which ghostly Pokémon, either Jellicent or Chandelure, and Jellicent came out on top, so that's who we'll be covering today. Of course, we have next week's vote to kickstart off, and we're looking at some Ice types this time. So, would you like to see the Ice type from Generation 4, Mamoswine, or the Ice type from Generation 6, Aurorus? Comment down below which one you want to see in next week's episode, and the one with the most votes will be covered in, well, next week's episode. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Get that comment down there now, and we'll start looking at Jellicent. So Jellicent, it's a water ghost type, number 593 in the National Pokédex, being introduced in Generation 5, and it is the floating Pokémon, obviously based on a jellyfish. Dimension wise, it's actually 7 foot 3 inches tall, or 2.2 meters tall, so it's a pretty big Pokémon, and it weighs 297.6 pounds or 135 kilograms. So even though it's a floating Pokémon, it's pretty darn heavy. Egg-wise and breeding-wise, it's in the amorphous egg group, and the male-female split is 50-50, obviously Jellicent having some rather big male-female gender differences, which, we've just got the male stuff here, but the female is obviously pink. Evolution-wise, Jellicent will evolve from Frillish, starting at level 40, so you actually have to get your Frillish fairly high leveled up before it starts to evolve. Base stat wise for Jellicent, if we take a quick look here, you can see one of its highest base stats is health points at 100, so straight off you can tell Jellicent is going to be a fairly bulky Pokemon. Its actual highest base stat is special defense at 105, so adding on to the base 100 health points, it's a pretty big sort of special tank. Then going on further down, we have special attack at 85, so that's sort of the offensive stat we're going to be using, if anything. And then going further down from that, we have defense at 70, so its physical defense isn't brilliant, but combined with that base 100 health points, it's still got some decent sort of bulk there. And then going further down, we have attack and speed at 60 each, so obviously we're not really going to be using physical attack too much, and speed, it just, Jellicent's just a slow Pokemon in general, so don't expect to be having any priority anytime soon. Ability-wise, for Jellicent, there are actually 3 abilities available to it, two basic ones and 1 hidden ability. The 2 basic abilities are Water Absorb, which obviously restores health points if it's hit by a water type move, and Cursed Body, which means that if the opponent attacks you with a move, it may disable it. So looking at those 2, Water Absorb, yeah, it's good, you can get some health and restoration off. However, no one's really going to use a water type attack on Jellicent, unless of course you switch into one, which might be beneficial sometimes, but generally I would go for Cursed Body, because that's just always a nice thing to have. You may end up disabling their moves. Say the opponent is gonna 2-shot you, they hit you with the first attack, but wait, that move has been disabled, so they can no longer 2-shot you, which gives you time to sort of maybe take them out. So Cursed Body can really come into clutch sometimes, so I'd recommend that ability. Its hidden ability is Damp, which prevents the use of self-destructing moves like, well, Self-Destruct and Explosion. Not that either of these moves are actually going to affect Jellicent anyway, because it's a ghost type, so really Damp is not too useful at all. Maybe in like double and triple battles to help your teammates out, but generally no. So type wise for Jellicent, being a water ghost type, it has a good few things to look at here. It resists 6 types, which are fire, water, poison, bug, ice and steel. Fire, water and ice being primarily special moves, which means you're going to tank them up even more. Weaknesses, it's weak to 4 moves, which are grass, electric, ghost and dark. Grass obviously is special, electric is special primarily, and ghost and dark are primarily physical, which is, it's alright, the two weaknesses you're going to tank up pretty well, so it's nothing too much to worry about. Immunity wise, it actually has 2 immunities thanks to its part ghost type, which is normal and fighting. Both of these are physical moves, which is good because obviously your physical defense is lower anyway, so you're not going to take any damage from them at all, which is pretty nice. And then obviously you take neutral from the final 6 types, which are flying, rock, ground, psychic, dragon and fairy. So all in all, it's a pretty good type. You resist 6, you're only weak to 4, and you're going to tank those 4 out pretty well anyway, and you have 2 immunities. So all in all, I'd say this is a pretty good type for Jellicent to have, being sort of a bulky Pokemon. So what can you actually do with Jellicent? What moves can you teach it? What moves can it learn? What moves is it good at using? Well, let's have a look at them now. At level 9, it can learn Nightshade. Nightshade being a move that does a flat amount of damage based on your level. So in X and Y and Auras, it will be 50 health points. It's not amazing, but it can have some use. It was more useful back in Generation 5 when you were level 100, because obviously then you do 100 base damage, but it can be good, especially if you don't want to put any points or anything into special attack. You can just do sort of flat damage with that. It doesn't matter if you lose special attack, it doesn't matter whatever, you're going to do a flat amount of damage with that move. So it can be useful, but there are other options. At level 17, Jellicent can learn Recover. Now, being a bulky Pokemon, Recover, you definitely want to run it. You definitely want to run it unless you're going for like full attack Jellicent or something like that. But Recover, yeah, it's going to restore half your health points. So say your opponent can only do a quarter damage per move, you let them use one move, and then when they use the second move, just recover, and you've restored all your health points there. Combine that with Leftovers, obviously it's just going to be even better for you. So you have pretty good health point regeneration with Jellicent here. And then at level 45, you get to learn Hex. Hex is a special ghost type move that actually doubles in damage if the opponent is afflicted with a status ailment, so burn or poison. Now this combines with some of the other moves we'll look at and can be very useful. We'll talk more about it in the set. Looking at the TMs now, the first one is TM06 Toxic, which badly poisons the opponent, and obviously combined with Hex can be very good. I'll sort of speak a bit more about that later on in the set, but Toxic is, Toxic is toxic. Then we have TM12 Taunt. Being a bulky Pokemon, sometimes, enemies might take the advantage and say, okay, I'm just going to set up on them because they can't do anything to me. But you can use Taunt, and you can stop them from Stealth Rocking, you can stop them from Spikings, from Energy Ball, any move, or not stop from Energy Ball, stop from Sticky Web, that's what I was thinking of. Anything, they won't be able to Sword Stance, they won't be able to, Nasty Plot, they'll just be stuck attacking you. And obviously, as we've spoken, you can take most of these moves. So really, Taunt is a pretty good choice, especially if you're looking to sort of lead off with a Jellicent and sort of counter any person that's going to come in with Stealth Rock or whatever. Then we have, right next up after that, TM13 Ice Beam. It's just a coverage move for you, really. If you do want to run a full attacking Jellicent, I'm not going to talk about it in the sets, but you can run a full attacking Jellicent. You can go like, Water Stab, Ghost Stab, Ice Beam, and then something else, I don't know. But you could run it, but Ice Beam is just general coverage. You could run it on a defensive set anyway, just to maybe try and get a freeze off. I don't know. Then we have TM30 Shadow Ball, which, excluding Hex, is going to be our main stab. So if you were going for the full attacking Jellicent, obviously you wouldn't be running any Toxic or whatever, so you might just want to go Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Scold, which is the next one up there, and one of them, I don't know, you get the idea. But yeah, as I said, TM55 Scold is up next. This is your water type stab. It's got a chance to burn as well, which working with Hex is even better. Then last up but not least, we have TM61 Will-O-Wisp, which is going to be especially helpful because, as you said, you have not got great physical defense, but it's pretty good. However, if you burn the opponent, they're going to do half damage to you, which means your physical defense is pretty much bulked up even more. So it's a good idea. It's a good, good move to have, especially if you're faced with a physical attacker, because you Will-O-Wisp them, and that's then pretty much countered against. You've countered them. They can't do anything there. So that's your moves there for Jellicent. If we jump into the set straight away and not waste any time here, just the one set today. As I mentioned, you could run full attack Jellicent, but that's fairly sort of self-explanatory. This one is the one you might want to run on Jellicent most of the time. Moves wise, we have Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Recover, and then Scold or Hex. Ability is Curse to Body or Water Absorb. Nature is a bold one. Held item is the Leftovers, and the EVs have got 248 health points, 216 in physical defense, and then 44 in speed. So move-wise, we have Taunt, which is useful in case they want to set up on you, basically. We have Will-O-Wisp, which sort of, if you're faced with a physical attacker, you might want to think about Will-O-Wisping straight off, just to get that burn on them, and then just go on straight on, go from there. You could also think about Will-O-Wisping a enemy special attacker, just so you get the Hex bonus if you're running Hex. However, obviously you might want to think about not doing that. But I mean, it might be a waste of a turn. All you're getting from that is the health point damage each turn, whereas with a physical attacker, you're actually nerfing their damage as well. So it's up to you. You could also run Toxic in that slot. You know, that could be used against special attackers a bit more easily because it does more damage over time. But Will-O-Wisp sort of is your basic one to get rid of those physical attackers that might threaten you a bit. Recover is your next one, which is your health and restoration. So once you've burned them, taunted them, obviously they're doing some damage to you, so you can recover, and then you haven't really lost any health points overall as long as they're not doing too much damage to you. And your final move is Scold or Hex. This really depends what you want to run here. Scold is obviously going to have good coverage against whatever types are weak to water, and it has a chance to burn as well, so even if you don't want to waste a move against the special attacker using Will-O-Wisp, you could Scold them and then still get the burn off, which might help. Or you can run Hex, which is going to get the bonus from the Will-O-Wisp, which is going to be pretty good. So I don't know, it depends on what team you're running. Yeah, say your team has not got an amazing strength against fire types, you might want to think about running Scold. If you haven't got great strength against psychic types, run Hex for that super effective ability sort of thing. But yeah, really you can mix it up and try. You can even get rid of Taunt if you wanted to and just have Scold and Hex for good coverage. And just not sort of, not use Jellicent to lead off with and get rid of any, or to stop any stealth rocks or whatever, but it's up to you. Ability is Cursed Body or Water Absorb. I'd recommend Cursed Body, but you could run Water Absorb just for a bit of extra health and restoration if they manage to use that type of move on you. I wouldn't expect they would, but it's a possibility, so you could run it. Nature is Bold to boost our physical defense and lower our physical attack, because we're not using that, and our physical defense is lower than special ones, so it's sort of just bringing it up to be equal. Held item is Leftovers for the extra health and restoration, and then the EVs, we got not maximum health points, but a good amount of health points to bulk us up, a good amount in physical defense to again bring that up in line with special defense, and the rest in speed, just to give you a bit more sort of, like a bit more speediness, because in the tier that Jellicent's in, that bit of extra speed might help it outspeed some other slow Pokemon and get the Will-O-Wisps off before they can actually attack it, so that's what it's there for, really. So yeah, that's pretty much that. How would you use a set? You could lead it off with it, and then use Taunt to stop any Stealth Rocks, if of course the Pokemon is going to look like they use Stealth Rocks. Obviously if it's Charizard, they're not going to use Stealth Rock, so, just do what you're presented with, basically. Will-O-Wisp if it's a physical attacker that comes out against you that might do damage to you, and then just sort of Scold or Hex, and then recover when you need it. Basically, it's not that hard a set to use, really, for Jellicent, and that's kind of it there. So guys, that's going to be it for today's episode of the Pokemon DataDex. As I mentioned at the start, be sure to vote for next week's Pokemon, either Mamoswine or Aurorus, by commenting that Pokemon's name down below. Apart from that guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, that's better, and I'll be seeing you next time. I thank you for watching. Goodbye my friends.